Yo, what's good? It's your boy LJ, aka Boxing LJ. I'm back and I'm here to do my 8-day recap. So basically, what this is, I'm going to recap the past 8 days in boxing. So we're gonna jump right into it. All right, we're gonna start off from the beginning. Last weekend, September 28th. What a great weekend for boxing it was. Man, I'm talking about Errol Spence and Sean Porter, the main event. I'm talking about Benavidez and Dirrell as the co-main. I'm talking about Lopez and Molina Jr. Um, they were all good fights. We're going to start with the undercard and work our way up to the main card, all right? So, before we even get into the fights, before the fight, it was announced that Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber, till this day, is going to be fighting Luis King Kong Ortiz for the second time in November. And when I tell you I am excited, man, that first fight was an instant classic. And I honestly think this one's going to be a classic too. I think this one is going to be a classic too. As we get closer to the fight, I'll give my official prediction, but it's going to be a good one, folks. It's going to be a good one. And I was telling my wife leading up to the fight, I was like, watch, they are going to announce Deontay Wilder and King Kong Ortiz. They're going to announce it either during the Sean Porter fight or before the Sean Porter fight. And lo and behold, look what happened. They had a press conference right before the Sean Porter and Errol Spence fight. I called it. That's just great marketing by Al Heyman. Great marketing by Al Heyman. I mean, honestly, Al Heyman is killing it right now in the boxing game. Killing it. Don't debate me, debate your mama. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, let's get to these fights that happen on September 28th. We're going to start with Josecito Lopez and John Molina Jr. It wasn't a competitive fight. Honestly, John Molina Jr. was talking all this crap, talking all this smack before the fight, and it looked like he just showed up to collect a paycheck, man. It didn't look like he had 1 ounce of fight left in him, bro. It looked like, hey, I need this money, so I'm going to just show up. And Josecito Lopez, he basically dominated the entire fight. Like, the only rounds I had Molina winning was round 5. And that was only because Molina was countering Josecito Lopez like right hands. But Lopez was landing them at will, but John Molina wasn't backing down. Like, he was just countering with it. So I gave him that round because I believe his counters were more effective than Josecito Lopez right hands that he was just landing at will. But besides that, Josecito Lopez, like, he won dang near every other round. Like, the first round, he had 2 knockdowns, and then he had a knockdown again in round 7. I personally think that John Molina's corner, I don't think they should have let him out for the 8th round. I don't think they should have let him come out for the 8th round. For the 8th round, because that's when the referee stopped it. I understand that, people are fighters, but, man, with the recent deaths that have occurred because of hits that folks have taken in the ring, man, you have to be cautious. Because at the end of the day, like, if you're somebody's trainer, like, you got to see them as a human being first prior to seeing them as a boxer. And I personally think that Molina's corner shouldn't have let him out after the 7th round, because that knockdown was brutal by Josecito Lopez. I personally think Josecito Lopez is somebody to be dealt with in the welterweight division. I don't think he's elite, but I do believe he's just outside that top 5. And I believe he's like a very, very good journeyman. Um, Anybody that wants to get to Keith Thurman, to Sean Porter, to Danny Garcia, um, to Errol Spence, and now unified champion. Like, I believe they should have to go through Josecito Lopez because I believe he's a crafty veteran and he's still very much a live dog, very much a live dog. Um, but that's it on that fight. Now let's move to the co-main event. David Benavidez and Anthony Dirrell. Like, my God, that was a good fight. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. It was a close fight. It was hard. It was hard to judge until it got closer to the end. I mean, the first 3 rounds could have went either way. Honestly, the first round they were filling out. It was like a filling out process, and second round it was basically an exchange of jabs in the early part of the round, and then Dirrell was countering Benavidez. It was a close fight. It was a close round. It could have went either way. And then in the third round, Benavidez was countering Dirrell and making Dirrell miss. Benavidez, he had started finding his rhythm, but then after that, Dirrell started countering Benavidez's body shots. Man, they exchanged punches at the end of the rounds. I mean, they were brutal. So because Dirrell showed some championship pedigree and started countering Benavidez in the second half of the third round, and then the exchange of punches at the end of the round, like, that could have went either way. I gave it to Benavidez, but it was still a very, very close round. And then after that, Dirrell started jabbing to the body. I thought that should have been his game plan. I thought he should have been aiming for Benavidez's body, because Benavidez, he's younger. He still has some baby fat on him. He looked kind of soft. His body looked kind of soft. But we know the power that he possesses, man. So I think that should have been Dirrell's game plan from the get-go, like jab to the body, which he did. But I think he got away from it towards the middle to later rounds of the fight. So in the fourth round, Dirrell started jabbing to the body in the early round, and then Benavidez landed 3 straight jabs in the mid-round that, like, I mean, these were stiff jabs that stopped Dirrell, like, in his tracks. And then after that, Dirrell lands a big right hand. So I think his body work in the early part of that round, and then the big right hand at the end of the round, I gave that to Dirrell. So close fight still so far, man. And then in the fifth round, Benavidez came out walking down Dirrell. I mean, he was walking him down. He was proving a point. And then in the mid-round, Benavidez started swarming Dirrell with punches. Dirrell was blocking most of them, but Benavidez was being the aggressor. He was definitely being the aggressor. And then at the end of that, Benavidez lands a big right hand at the bell. So I gave that round to Benavidez just because he came out walking him down. He was the aggressor, and he landed that big right hand at the end of the fifth round. The sixth round, Dirrell, you could see he was being a crafty veteran. Like, he was trying to set up headshots by targeting the body. Like, you could see it. He was going to the body, and then, like, he would feint to the head and then go to the body. So he was still very much a live dog at this point. It was a close round. They exchanged in the later round. Like, it was a close round. I didn't even know who to give the fifth round to. Like, I didn't know. But the sixth round, man, Dirrell came out there setting up headshots with the body, and then, like, it was a clear Benavidez round, though, because even Dirrell started out well. Man, Benavidez started landing that stiff jab and that right hook. It was, oh my God, it was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty to see. Oh my God, Benavidez's jab and his right hook to the body. It was beautiful. But Dirrell, he was countering back, but you could tell those punches were hurting. They were hurting. And then the doctor, he ended up checking Dirrell because there was a cut on the eyelid from Benavidez. It was a clear Benavidez round. The sixth round was a clear Benavidez round. Up to that point, all the rounds have been close, but the sixth round was a clear Benavidez round, and this is where the tide of the fight started to shift. Definitely started to shift. The seventh round, it was an accidental low blow. No point was taken. Dirrell was warned, but then Benavidez was targeting that eye as he should have. Listen, when you wound a dog, when you get an animal in the corner, the worst thing you could do is let them get out of that corner. You gotta jump on them and attack, but you have to do it smart, because when an animal is in a corner, that's when they're the most dangerous, because they ain't got nowhere else to back up. Only thing they can do is come out the corner fighting. And Benavidez was attacking that eye. He was attacking that eye. The doctor had to check Dirrell's eye again. Like, at this point, I knew that the end was near. The doctor let it continue, but I knew the end was near. Now, Dirrell held a good account of himself in the seventh round because he landed a big right hand after being checked by the doctor. But after that, that young boy, that young champion, David Benavidez, came back landing big hooks at the end of the round. So I gave it to Benavidez. I feel like it was a clear Benavidez round because he came out attacking that eye. And even though Dirrell held a good account of himself, the doctor still had to check his eye. And the way Benavidez ended that round, it was a thing of beauty. A thing of beauty. And then the eighth round, Dirrell came out. He was desperate. He knew he had to do something to turn the tide of the fight. So he was landing big early. It was a possible low blow. A few of the shots were possible low blows, but the ref didn't call it. And then in the mid-round, Dirrell was just fighting for his life. Like, he went back to working on the body, and he wouldn't let Benavidez get shots off because he started holding them. He even got a warning for holding in the eighth round. And then once he got that warning, he sort of backed off a little bit, and then that's when Benavidez turned it on. He started targeting that eye again. And then after that, he started landing that left at will. It was a Benavidez round. And then the ninth round, Benavidez came out targeting that eye again. He would get countered at times, but he was targeting that eye. It was so bad that the ref stopped the fight, and Benavidez won his belt back. I would like to note that Benavidez lost his belt outside of the ring, but he won it back from a crafty veteran. I personally think that Dirrell is at the latter end of his career, but I still think he's a very much a live dog at 168. I would love to see Dirrell and Jacobs fight. Dirrell and Danny Jacobs. For those of you who don't know, Danny Jacobs has been rumored to be moving up to 168. I think him and Dirrell would be a great fight just to get Danny Jacobs' feet wet at 168. Now, Danny Jacobs used to fight at 168 back in the day, but he dropped down to 160, and now he's moving back up because I think it was killing him too much to make 160, and that's honestly why I think his fight with Canelo wasn't as action-packed as we wanted it to be. I think if Daniel Jacobs fought Canelo at 168 or 175, like Canelo was fighting Kovalev, I think it would have been a different story. I think Danny Jacobs could have possibly stopped Canelo, but that's a different story for a different day. So that is the co-main event. Benavidez stops Dirrell. Now it's time to move to the main event. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter. My God, that was worth every penny of pay-per-view money. Every penny. Mind you, I didn't spend a penny on pay-per-view. Shout out to family for hosting a watch party. But even if he wasn't hosting a fight party, I would have contemplated paying for it, and it would have been worth every single penny. Like, this lived up to the hype. This fight lived up to the hype. They were talking mess. They were talking mess in the build up to the fight. They had press conferences, and some of the press conferences got a little heated. And normally when that happens, like, you're not sure if they're putting it on for show or if it's actually how they feel. And I believe that's actually how they felt. The words that they exchanged in the build-up to the fight, I feel like that's how they actually felt. Now, after the fight, they showed respect to one another. I do believe they respect each other as competitors. But before then, they wanted to knock each other's head off. And it showed in the fight. The first round, it was more like a filling out process. It was evident what Sean was trying to do early. Sean Porter was trying to show Spence that he's not scared of him. So he was trying to walk Spence down, and he would push Spence to the ropes early. But what Spence was so good at doing is he would pivot out of there. He would turn Sean when Sean thought he had him up against the ropes. And I just thought that was beautiful boxing. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. They exchanged shots in the middle of the ring at the middle of the round. Sean shows off some footwork, some fancy footwork. At the end of the round, they exchanged body shots, but I believe Spence got the best of the body shots. So it was a close round, but I gave it to Spence just because he got the better of the body shots. In the second round, before the second round, you hear Kenny Porter instructing Sean to let Spence have the body punches, but counter with the left hook. I don't think that was too smart on Kenny Porter's behalf. Because, yes, Sean always comes in shape. However, to let a known body puncher like Spence have body shots, I believe that was just questionable advice. Now, I believe Kenny Porter is an excellent trainer. I just don't believe that was the right strategy. I don't believe that. But anyways, Porter was warned for holding and punching while he was holding. I don't believe Sean is a dirty fighter. I just believe he does crafty tricks, and that was a crafty trick that's closer to the illegal side. But he got warned for it. And then after he got warned for it, Spence got caught by Porter. He got caught. But he fires back. But Spence fired back. Spence and Porter exchanged at the end of the round. And at the end of the round, Spence lands a good straight left. And we all know that Spence is a southpaw, so the left is his power punch. And he landed a beautiful one at the end of the round. It was a close round. I gave it to Spence, but that round could go either way. So the first two rounds could have went either way. But I gave the first two to Spence just because his punches were more effective. But that's just me. In the third round, Spence's jab, it was beautiful for the early part of the round. I'm talking about Sean was feeling it. He was feeling it. And in the beginning of the round, Spence was landing his straight left at will. He was landing it at will. At this point, I was like, okay, I don't think this fight is going to last too long because of the way that Spence was just landing that straight left. But Sean came back. Sean showed championship pedigree. And Spence began to counter well, and he started moving even better. Like, he was showing those boxing skills. That they said that he lacked prior to Mikey Garcia. But we all know how the Mikey Garcia fight went. So Spence was showing that off a little bit. And then Spence was landing that left hook to the body at will. Mind you, he got a low blow warning. But then after the warning, he landed another left. But when he landed that left, Porter countered with a beautiful right hand. My God, it was just like poetry in motion, man. Like the boxing gods were smiling down on us that night because the type of fighting that was occurring, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. That round, it was another close round. It was another close round. I felt like Spence did more of the effective punches, so I gave it to Spence. But again, I could see how you could give it to Sean as well. So the first 3 rounds were either or. I gave the first 3 to Spence. The fourth round, Porter was landing good shots early. He was landing some very good shots. I thought Spence was tiring out at this point. And I thought that Sean was doing a good job of dictating the pace. Because we all know that Errol Spence liked to dictate the pace. But I believe Sean was doing a great job at dictating the pace, especially in the fourth round early. So Spence started returning those body shots. He started returning them. And then after he was returning body shots, Porter started landing the counter right. And Porter was landing very well. At the end of the round, Spence landed a big left, but I gave that round to Sean. I gave that round to Sean because he was dictating the pace. He was the aggressor, and while I believe Spence's punches were more effective, Porter was still landing some very good shots as well, and he was dictating the pace. So I think that gave him the edge in the fourth round. In the fifth round, in the early part of the fifth round, Spence's defense was impeccable. Oh my God, it was impeccable. He really looked like a mini Floyd in there. He looked like mini Money Mayweather in that thing in the early rounds. You could tell that Spence was sharper, like he was finding his groove, like he was countering, like he was sharp with his counter too. Like he looked very good early in the fifth round. And then he was just landing the bigger shots than Sean in this round. He was landing the bigger shots. But Porter, he's a dog, man. He's a dog, and he started returning fire. And at the middle of the round, Spence landed a big left hand again. So because of Spence's impeccable defense early in the fifth round and that big left that he landed in the middle round, I gave that one to Spence. And then the sixth round, Spence knew that he hurt Sean in the previous round, so he came out aggressive. He actually put Porter on the ropes. And then Porter, he turned out of it, and he tried to put Spence on the rope. But Spence, he's underrated as a boxer. However, after this fight, I don't think you can underrate him anymore because he kept pivoting out of the corner. He kept pivoting and turning Sean back around. Spence was, in this sixth round, he was heavily investing to the body. I mean, heavily. So it was a close round, but I gave that one to Spence because of his investment to the body and the way he kept getting out of those bad situations when Porter would put him on the ropes. In the seventh round, Porter came out on the attack. He probably knows that he was behind on the scorecard, so he came out on the attack early, and he was landing some clean shots early. Despite Sean landing those clean shots, Spence kept coming forward, though. He kept coming forward. Spence, he was trying to continue that investment to the body. He knew that those body shots was getting to Porter. He knew that. But at the end of the round, Porter started landing some body shots of his own, man. So because Porter came out aggressive and he was landing some clean shots at the beginning and the end of the rounds, I gave the seventh round to Porter. After that, in the eighth round, Porter, he came out aggressive again, but he got warned for pushing. And trying to counter while pushing. Again, I don't think it was dirty. I just think it was one of those crafty veteran tricks that normally he would get away with, but in this one, like, it was a pay-per-view fight, and they weren't gonna let him get away with something like that. Porter, he was landing counter rights, and he was just landing the counter right hands to Spence's jabs and body shots. Spence landed a big left hand, but I still think Porter was landing the more effective punches in this round. So it was a close round. It could go either way, but I personally gave it to Porter. In the ninth, both of them came out aggressive early. I'm talking about they were exchanging punches early and often. Porter landed a beautiful uppercut. He landed a beautiful uppercut, then a right cross in the mid-round. It was a thing of beauty, man. It was a thing of beauty. But they started off exchanging and they ended off the round exchanging. That was a toss-up round. That was a toss-up round. I don't know. Because that combination that Sean put together with the uppercut and the right cross, oh, that was beautiful. But I don't want to give it to Porter just because of that. And they were exchanging shots both at the beginning and the end of the round. So that was a toss-up round. In the 10th, Spence, he came out and he was landing that jab. He was landing that jab, and he was landing the more effective punches early. Porter, he kept coming forward, though. He kept coming forward. Like I said, he's a dog, and he has that championship pedigree, man. But Spence landed a ton of body blows in the 10th round. Spence even backed Porter up to the ropes in this round. He landed another good body shot when he had Porter on the ropes. And then Porter, he spins out of that, and he lands a body shot that clearly hurts Spence. I mean, it clearly hurts Spence. But Spence takes control back, and then he lands a big left hand. And then there was a warning for a headbutt. And then after the warning for the headbutt, like, Spence gets back to the jab. And then Porter, he pins Spence to the ropes again in that round. So it was another back and forth round. It was a close one. But I edged it out to Spence because he was using that effective jab. Like, he was effectively using the jab both in the early and the late rounds, in the late part of the round. And he landed the more effective punches. So I gave that one to Spence. The 11th round, man, both of them came out conservative. But then in the mid-round, like, Porter put Spence on the ropes. And it was an exchange of punches on the ropes. I think Spence got the best of the exchange. And then the biggest point of the fight is when Spence knocked Sean down with that left hook. Now, let's be clear. His body didn't touch the canvas, but his boxing glove did. So when your boxing glove touches the ground, you're using that to catch yourself, so it's counted as a knockdown. But the way Spence landed that left hook, it was a thing of beauty, man. It was a thing of beauty. And, of course, that was a 10-8 Spence round. I really think that's what separated the fight, because without that, I believe the fight would have been a draw. But that knockdown in the 11th round is what gave Spence the fight. All in all, I am good with the decision. I'm not good with the scores, though. Like, the scores were a little too wide for Spence, in my opinion. I believe Spence won, but I really believe it was like by 1 or 2 points because of that knockdown. Some cards had it 116, 111. I don't agree with that. I don't. But it was a close fight. This is my personal belief. I personally believe that Spence was showing the world and showing Sean that he can fight a tough phone booth type of fight. I believe that if Spence would have used more of his boxing skills, I believe the fight still would have been close, but I believe it would have been more like that 116, 111 card. People were talking about Terrence Crawford can definitely beat Errol Spence after that performance. Just stop. Just stop. Just stop it. Because you cannot use triangle theories in boxing. You can't. You just can't. You can't. And if anybody wants to debate that, you can put your comment in the comment section, and then I can debunk that all day. But you can't use triangle theories. You can't use triangle theories in boxing. We can go to Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, and George Foreman. Frazier knocked Ali off his feet in that first fight. And then Frazier fought Foreman, and everybody thought Frazier was going to beat Foreman because Ali was trying to get that rematch with Frazier. But then what happens? Foreman knocks Frazier clean off his feet. And then everybody was saying that Foreman was going to kill Ali. And then what happened? Ali pulls the rope-a-dope on him and knocks Big George out. So you can't use triangle theories, man. Just because Spence had a tough fight with Porter doesn't mean that Terrence Crawford can now beat Errol Spence. Just point blank, period. Now, I like the fact that Terrence Crawford has that confidence. I believe that this fight showed that Errol is vulnerable and he's no longer the boogeyman that can't be beat, because that was the aura that was surrounding him both prior to and especially after the Mikey Garcia fight. So the fact that he showed some vulnerabilities in this fight, you see Danny Garcia jumped in the ring afterwards. We know a few years ago Danny Garcia wasn't trying to have none of that smoke with Errol Spence. And I like Danny Garcia. I do. I think he's a very good boxer. I'm yet to believe that he's elite at 147. At 140, absolutely he was elite. But at 147, I'm unsure. He's very good, but I'm unsure if he's elite. And we know 2 years ago, like, he was not trying to have that smoke with Errol Spence. But because of this fight, and Sean Porter, showed some vulnerabilities in Errol's game, showed that he's human, because everybody has vulnerabilities. Even TBE, Floyd Mayweather had vulnerabilities. Like, you seen that right that Sugar Shane hit him with. You know what I'm saying? He hit him with that twice. You know what I mean? So everybody has vulnerabilities. But I think Errol Spence showing these vulnerabilities is one of the best things to happen in the welterweight division, because now more people are going to be willing to fight him, because not only do they think that they may have a chance now, but Errol Spence is a legit pay-per-view star. He's a legit pay-per-view star. Like, 2 fights ago, he fought at the Frisco at the Star. He fought Ocampo there. 16,000 in attendance. The fight after that, he fought Mikey Garcia at Jerry's World, and that had almost 40,000 in the building. And then on top of that, they sold almost 500,000 pay-per-view. And then this one with Sean Porter, like, it was sold out. The Staples Center was sold out, and I'm not sure if they released the pay-per-view numbers yet, but Errol Spence is a legit pay-per-view star, so they know that they're going to get paid fighting him, and they think that they may slightly have a chance. So I think it's a good shakeup for the welterweight division. I do think that Spence is going to try to fight Pacquiao, because that would be like a legacy fight. I don't think Pacquiao wants any of Errol Spence. If Pacquiao was smart, he would fight Sean Porter and make Spence fight Crawford first. But I don't think that's going to happen. I personally think that Errol Spence is going to fight Danny Garcia, and then I believe that Manny Pacquiao is going to fight Sean Porter, and then after that, I believe that I believe that Errol Spence is gonna cave in and fight Terrence Crawford, even though I don't want him to. I want Errol Spence to collect that WBA belt from Pacquiao before he fights Terrence Crawford, because I want the Terrence Crawford to be for undisputed, because I really believe that is our generation's Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns. Like, I believe that's what this fight is going to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Whenever it happens, I'm going to be excited to see it, but I want it to be for undisputed. That's just my personal thing. So that was last weekend. Now we move to the news and boxing this week. Man, where do I begin? Of course, we already talked about Deontay Wilder and Louis King Kong Ortiz. That's going to be a good one. Canelo fighting Kovalev. Although I heard rumors that the opponent that Kovalev may have pulled out. I'm unsure if that's true. I hope it's not true, because even though I disagree with Canelo moving up from 160, I'd rather Canelo try to be undisputed at 160 prior to him moving up. But I mean, I still think that'll be a good fight, Canelo versus Kovalev, because we know Kovalev is vulnerable to the body, and we know that's Canelo's bread and butter is the body. So it's a good fight. Hopefully it's still on, because I would love to watch it. But yeah, man. Last night, Triple G fought Sergiy Derevyanchenko, and I don't know what DAZN is doing, bro. I just don't know. I don't know. Like, I barely saw any promotion for this fight this week. Like, Triple G is supposed to be one of your main attractions to the DAZN app, alongside Canelo and Anthony Joshua. But you're not promoting him as such. You know what I mean? Like, this was a good fight. Triple G and Sergiy Derevyanchenko was a good fight. I personally think it happened a year too late. I believe it should have happened May 5th last year. But nevertheless, it happened, and it was a good fight. And DAZN just... there was no advertising dollars behind this. And if there were advertising dollars behind it, the head of advertising needs to be fired, because I barely saw any promotion for this. Let's go back to the Errol Spence and Sean Porter fight. I'm talking, they had Errol Spence cross promoting on other Fox football games. Like, they had Sean Porter cross promoting on Fox during football games. Like, Al Heyman knows how to advertise, but DAZN, I don't know what they doing, bro. I don't know what they doing, man. If they keep it up like this, I don't think DAZN gonna last another 2 years, cause they've already doubled their price within the first year of being a company. Well, not the first year being a company, but the first year being this big boxing streaming service in the U.S. They were supposed to be canceling pay-per-view, but clearly that's not happening. Spence and Mikey Garcia was pay-per-view. Spence and Porter was pay-per-view. Wilder and Ortiz, too, is about to be pay-per-view. So, they ain't killing pay-per-view, bro. I don't even know why them people over at the DAZN trusted Eddie Hearn. I don't even know why. I don't know why. But nevertheless, Triple G and Sergiy Derevyanchenko. That was a good fight, man. And I disagree with the decision. I don't think Triple G won that fight. I think it was very close. I think Sergiy Derevyanchenko deserved the split decision. I don't even believe he deserved a unanimous decision, because it was just that close. But Sergiy Derevyanchenko, he came to fight, man. I believe at 160, I believe Sergiy Derevyanchenko is definitely in the top 5. Definitely in the top 5. Like, he gave Daniel Jacobs a good fight, and he gave Triple G a good fight, man. He gave a good fight. Like, besides getting knocked down in the first round, I believe he made up for it, and that's why I don't think he deserved the unanimous decision, because of that knockdown in the early round. But man, Sergey was a live dog in this fight, and personally, I think Triple G looked old, man. I think Triple G looked old. I do not think Triple G wants, even though Triple G says he wants Canelo again, I don't think he wants Canelo again, because in the second fight, in the early part of the fight, like around 6, 7, 8, Canelo was walking Triple G down. I thought he was finna knock Triple G out. And I guarantee you this, if they fight a third time, Canelo gonna knock Triple G out. Especially after seeing Sergey Derevchenko, the way he almost got Triple G out of there in the late rounds. Triple G, I gotta give him his credit though. He did show some professional pedigree, some championship pedigree. Like, his jab was stiffer than normal, and he did come back, but he was obviously hurt. Especially in the 10th round. In the 10th round, Sergey Derevchenko was landing big, and he almost got Triple G out of there. Like, he almost got Triple G out of there in the early round. But credit to Triple G, he returned fire, but Sergey was countering, and he was sharp. He hit Triple G to the body, and he was hitting him with jabs. And I thought he was gonna go down. I thought Triple G was gonna go down in the 10th round. Yeah, Triple G, Sergey, he invested in the body. I just don't know what to say. Sergey Derevchenko, he fought a good fight. I would say he would have fought a excellent fight if he didn't get knocked down. And I would say he fought a perfect fight, but Triple G landed some big shots on him. But overall, Sergey Derevchenko, you held a very good account of yourself, and I personally think you won the fight. Split decision. I think it was close. I think it was definitely 8 rounds to 4. I think it was 8 rounds to 4. But the scorecards were close because of that knockdown in the early rounds. So really, it was really like a 7-5. Yeah, I'm gonna go with 7-5. 7 rounds to 5. Sergey Derevchenko. I think he pulled it out. I'll have to watch it again and score it again, but I think he pulled it out. And I would love to see Sergey Derevchenko get another shot at Triple G. I personally think Triple G needs to fight. I think Triple G needs to fight a Jamal Charlo before he gets another shot at Canelo, or a Demetrius Andrade. Like, Demetrius Andrade is on DAZN. Both of y'all have belts now. Like, make it happen. Like, there's no reason it shouldn't be happening. There's no reason it shouldn't happen. There's no reason the Triple G and Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade fight should not happen. There's no reason for it. None. They're both in the same division. They're both under the same management. Well, they're promoted by the same company, DAZN. Like, so you don't have to worry about cross promotion. Like, it's easy. Make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen. I just see the end of the tunnel for Triple G. I believe those wars with Canelo like really aged him. I still think he's a very good fighter. The DAZN commentary was so biased last night. They were talking about he's a sure Hall of Famer, this, that, and the third, and like, I really dislike the DAZN commentary. Like, I had to turn it off several times. I had to put it on mute, man, because they sounded like old media, bro. Like, and you know, new media, gang. Like, we ain't going for that no more, bro. Like, new media is the mainstream media now. Like, bro, we're not buying what you're selling. We're not buying what you're selling. Like, how is Triple G a surefire Hall of Famer when he barely has, all of his wins have been controversial? The Daniel Jacobs fight was controversial. I personally think Danny Jacobs won. And I know several other new media members that believe that as well. His fights with Canelo, the first fight, I believe it was a draw, but people argue that Triple G won, so it's still controversial though. But that second fight, there is no way you can argue that Triple G won that second Canelo fight. No way, bro. No way. And then this fight with Sergiy Dirrell, like, controversial, bro. Unless he's fighting a tomato can, like, his biggest fights have been controversial. Point blank, period. So I don't believe that makes him a surefire Hall of Famer. Now, if he fights Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, and if he fights not Demetrius Charlo, if he fights Jamal Charlo, then that thought could be revisited. But until then, Triple G is just a good fighter. He's good. Not great. Good. And I really wish, especially in America, like, I really wish we would stop pumping up these foreign fighters and, like, stand behind our own. Like, some of the greatest active boxers are from America, and old media don't want to get behind them. But new media is steadily pumping out Deontay Wilder. I think he is the biggest heavyweight in the game right now, especially since Anthony Joshua lost. Andy Ruiz, yes, he's Mexican. He's a Mexican-American, though. Heavyweight champion of the world. Why aren't we bigging him up like UK was behind Anthony Joshua, or how, like, ESPN is trying to big up Tyson Fury? Like, why can't we get behind our own champions? Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, middleweight champion. Why aren't we behind him? Jamal Charlo, the outright WBC champion of the middleweight division, because Canelo got that franchise belt, whatever that means. Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, they both hold belts at 160. Why aren't we supporting them? Gervonta Tank Davis, like, Al Heyman was cross-promoting him at the Baltimore Ravens game because he's from Baltimore. Floyd Mayweather just endorsed Tank Davis as the pound-for-pound #1. And Floyd Mayweather was like, he earned it. It wasn't given to him. He earned it. Now, I don't think Gervonta Tank Davis is #1, but I definitely think he's in the top 5 pound-for-pound. And I personally believe if he gets that Lomachenko fight, Lomachenko finna get knocked out. Because people underrate Tank as a boxer. They just think he's all power. Okay. Step into that ring with him, Lomachenko. If you think Jorge Linares, if you think he knocked you down, you in for a long night, buddy. Now, I know I just said we can't do triangle theories. However, I want us to objectively look at this. Tank knocked out Pedraza. And Pedraza gave Lomachenko. You know what? I'm going to say that for another video. If y'all like what I'm talking about, man, like this video. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing this every 8 days. So catch me next Sunday. I'm going to be doing my 8-day recap. And subscribe, because I may do random videos throughout the week. But man, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. You know, this is just the beginning. So stay tuned. Stay rocking with your boy and help this channel grow. Help it grow. Share, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Alright, it's your boy LJ, aka Boxing LJ. We out, man.